All right, y'all. So this is our topic today, which was one and two step equations. Okay. Now this is my first time doing this video this year. So just kind of bear with me on how this goes. Hopefully you can hear well enough and so forth. Okay. All right, so I'm going to start. I do things a little differently than a lot of teachers. Okay, so you may have seen something done differently in years past, or you may see it done differently in the future. To each their own. I'm not a person, though, remember, that's like my way or no way. You can definitely do different methods, but cheating is not a method. All right, so we're going to start with one-step equations. Now, this is not a trick. One-step equations should actually just take one step. All right. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 will all be a single step equation. Once we get down past that, everything else past this, I am going to do more than one step for. Okay. So let's talk about what we're doing here. Basically, whenever you're solving equations, the whole goal is to get your variable by itself. Okay. So like here, my variable is m. So I need to find my equal sign. Now, a lot of people like to draw a little line through their equal sign. You can do that. You don't have to do that. I don't do it whenever I'm solving my problems, but I've seen this in a lot of y'all that came over here from previous years that you had that drawn. That's perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with it. I just don't do it on my paper. All right. So you find your variable and you move what is with your variable. The way that we solve equations is we do the opposite. So if I'm adding 12 here, the opposite of that is going to be to subtract 12. What you do to one side, you do to the other. The whole point is to get the variable by itself by canceling out that number. So m here is going to equal -2. Okay. All right, moving over here to number 2. All right, here's my variable right here. So I'm going to be moving this -9. The opposite of -9 is +9. What you do to one side, you do to the other. That cancels those out. Brings down my g, and -2 plus 9 is going to give me 7. Now, I always want your variable written on the left for your final answer, so I'm just going to flip that around and put g equals 7. All right, now, this time there's no plus or minus. All right, that's because this, with no symbol in between the two, remember, this is multiplication. Okay, so the opposite of multiplication we know is division. So I'm going to divide both sides by -7. We know immediately that two negatives when we divide is going to make a positive. And then you're just going to divide 91 by 7. Now, you've got calculators. I don't have one in front of me. 7 goes into 9 once, and 7 goes into 21 3 times. So my answer is 13. And again, that was a positive 13. All right, and here they are dividing by 9, so we are going to multiply by 9. And again, y'all, the whole point is, like, I forgot to draw it over here. We're canceling those out, okay? So now I'm left with just a on the left, and -4 times 9 is -36. Okay, those are your easy, simple one-step equations. Okay, so now down here where it says fractions, these can be done in one step by using this over here. It says to get rid of a fraction, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. Okay, but that's not the way that I teach this. Okay, I teach this that we're going to get rid first. Okay, here's our variable. Okay, I can't move that 2 until I move the 3. So if they're dividing by 3, then we're going to do the opposite, which is to multiply by 3. All right, so I'm left with 2x on the left and 30 now on the right. So this is technically going to be a two-step for us. So now, because they're multiplying, I'm going to divide, cross out my 2's, leaving me with just x, and 30 divided by 2 is 15. Okay. Same thing over here. So I'm going to start by multiplying both sides by this 9 to get rid of the 9. So then 4w is going to equal -72. Then I'm going to divide by that 4. And again, y'all, without a calculator, we can divide by hand. 4 goes into 7 once, and 4 goes into 32 8 times. So it's going to be negative 18, because a negative divided by a positive is a negative. All right, so down here on number 7 and 8, I will say on 7 and 8, okay, you see the negative, okay, but it looks like in the middle. So a lot of times people make the mistake of putting it on both the 6 and the 5. I always put the negative with my top number. It's just a habit, but it's only on one or the other. Don't put it on both. All right, so here we go. We're going to do times 5. That crosses out our 5. So we're left with negative 6k equals 60. And then we're going to divide by negative 6, and k is going to equal negative 10. All right, last one of these. We're going to multiply by 2 on both sides. That gets rid of my 2, so I'm left with negative 1m equals negative 18. And then you're going to divide by the negative 1, and m is going to equal positive 18. Okay, now I have a tendency to talk fast, to go through problems fast. That's one thing that's great about the videos. You can pause them, you can rewind them, you can play what you need to, you can skip if you check out and miss just certain problems. If you were not here entirely, then you want to watch the whole video, but just you can get what you missed, okay? All right, so now we're going to go down to our two-step equations. Okay, two-step equations. They are just that. Most of them are going to be 2 steps. Now, I will say, again, I do these a little different. The first several are going to be 2-step, but there will become a time in this lesson where they're going to jump to 3 steps for me, okay? And y'all, using your notes in my class, it gives you the steps right here. So the first thing we're undoing is our addition and our subtraction. Then we're moving on to our multiplication or division. All right, so on number 9, here's my variable term. So I need to move this plus 8 first. So I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. Always bring down everything you're not using. 50 minus 8 is going to give me 42. And then to get my final answer, we're going to divide by 6, and x should equal 7. All right, now I haven't talked about it yet, but checking these is really easy. Just using the substitution property that we had from last week. Okay, so literally I'm just going to put x in for 7. So 6 times 7 plus 8. 6 times, y'all can put that in your calculator, and we get 50, which is what we should have got. Okay. All right, so on number 10, here's my variable term again. So they're subtracting 5, so we're going to add 5. And then to get it all by itself, we're going to divide both sides by 2, and n should equal 8. All right, now 11 and 12 are just written a little differently. The problem's going to be the same, okay? We're still moving whatever is not attached to the variable first. Okay, so when I look at number 11, here's my variable term. I don't move that 13, y'all, because it's already by itself. I'm going to move this 9. Okay, and then to get k all by itself, I'm going to divide by negative 4. So remember, I'm going to put my variable on the left, and 4 divided by negative 4 means k is negative 1. And you can plug that in and check. All right, so 12 is a little tricky. We've got negative 3y here. Okay, so I need to move that 7. A lot of people get distracted by this minus sign. But if I were to add 7, 7 plus 7 would give me 14. That is not what I need to do. I need to cancel these. So in order to do that, I need to subtract. That's a positive 7. I need to subtract 7. Okay, so negative 3y equals 27. And then we're going to divide by our negative 3, and y should equal negative 9. Okay. moving on to number 13. Right, 13 right here. So again, here is my entire variable term. So I'm going to move the 7 first. 9 plus 7 is 16. Now they are dividing by 2, so I'm going to do the opposite, which is to multiply by 2, and x is going to equal 32. 32 divided by 2 is 16. 16 minus 7 is, in fact, 9. Y'all, it does not take long at all to check your answer for these problems. Okay, here's my variable term, so I'm moving this plus 8 first. Don't get confused there. And then I am going to multiply by that negative 5. Cancel it. Variable's going to go on the left, and negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. Okay, those are all the ones that are a true two-step for us. Okay, 15, 16, 17, 18 are all going to actually end up being 3 steps. Down at the very bottom, those will go back to being a 2-step, but the way I do 15 through 18 are, in fact, 3 steps. Okay, so same thing. Here's my variable term right here. So I'm going to move the 22 first. Okay, and then y'all, it goes back to, let's see if I can flip to it. It goes back to right here, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That's what we're back at. This is just like 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I'm going to start by multiplying by 5. And then dividing by 3. All right, here's my variable term. So I'm going to move the 1 first. Okay, ideally what you want to do now is you want to stop my video and you want to try to work a couple of these out on your own and then come back to my video to check your work, especially if you were not here for this. So I'm going to multiply by 3. And then I'm still not all by myself, so I've got to divide by that negative 1. So m is going to actually equal positive 24. Okay. All right, so pause the video here, go work on these 2 right here, and then come back in a minute and check them. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to add 10 because that's a negative 10. I was trying to give you some time to work. Remember, use your calculator if you are struggling, but y'all need to practice these integer rules because we're not doing too great at them. All right, here's the way I do this without a calculator. I'm going to do 20 times 4, which is 80, and then I'm going to do 8 times 4, which is 32, and I'm going to add those together. That's how I do that in my brain without the calculator. All right, and then I'm going to divide by 7 here. 7 goes into 11 one time. With 4 left over, 7 goes into 42 6 times. So the answer is negative 16. That's what you should have gotten for number 17. All right, and then number 18, here's your variable term. That's a positive 9, so I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides. And then we're going to multiply by the 2. So 12 is going to equal negative 1x, and then you're going to divide by that negative 1, so x should equal negative 12. All right, so the last part that we have down here, the last type of problem you might see. Now, again, this is very important. Whenever we're doing worksheets, quizzes, tests, anything like that, and I say you can refer back to your notes, there should be one example of each type somewhere in your notes. Maybe not exactly the same, but pretty doggone close. All right, here we go. Okay, so I can't move. Here's my variable term. My variable term is actually right here. But I can't move this 11 yet because this bar is in my way. And we know the bar means to divide. So we're going to go ahead and start by getting rid of that bar. So I'm going to get rid of the division first. Now, if you notice on the ones above us, the fraction was only on part of the problem. Here, the fraction extends on the whole problem. That's why we're having to do this. So the whole top is going to stay the same. And now it is a one-step equation. We're going to move our added term or subtracted term, and we're going to get negative 35. Right? Same thing. This right here has to stay together. So we're going to move that negative 2 first. So n minus 5 is going to equal positive 14. Opposite of minus 5 is plus 5, so n should equal 19. Okay. Go ahead and try number 21 and 22 for me. Pause my video so that I can go through and work these out and you don't have the answers. Okay, so you should have gotten 7 and 28. All right, so do your corresponding homework problems that match these notes that I gave you today. Make sure you turn that in. You can turn it on Canvas for this week, or you can also hand it to me tomorrow in class. All right, and I will see you all tomorrow.